This year, the federal government will spend $3.56, whatever they spend, $trillion. But 10 years from now, they'll spend $6 trillion. That's $250 billion a year increase for nothing but entitlements, primarily entitlements and debt. But the other thing that's really scary is everybody that gets Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security, you know, they think, and we're all living longer and longer and longer, thank you, but the bottom line is they think that it's mine, you owe it to me.
The story of Margaret Oliver's work and your Social Security goes back a long way. When this was a portrait of the future for millions of Americans. When they reached old age, they found themselves lacking the means to meet even their barest needs. And so they were forced to become wards of public charity. Something had to be done. Something was done. In 1935, Franklin D. Roosevelt put his signature on the Social Security Act. Then, 15 years later, Congress passed a new Social Security law, a law designed to meet today's needs. Signed by President Truman in 1950, this act gives Social Security a new meaning for you. And so today, this is the portrait of the future, a picture which Social Security helped make possible. Under the Social Security Act, most American families are now able to ensure for themselves an income that is guaranteed for life. It's an income provided not by charity or relief, but by federal old age and survivors insurance. Insurance that is bought and paid for. Contributions based on your earnings, made regularly by you and millions of your fellow workers, plus equal contributions made by your employers, pay for the program. These contributions are collected by the federal government. The government then holds them in trust for payment of benefits to you and your family.
We say that during his working years, he will contribute to Social Security as he has in the case of his retirement. $12 or $13 a month. When he becomes ill, or she becomes ill over a long period of time, he first pays $90 so that people will not abuse it. But then let's say he has a bill of $1,500. This bill is not that we're talking about Mr. Anderson's bill and Mr. King solve everything, but let's say it's $1,500, of which $1,000 are hospital bills. This bill will pay that $1,000 in hospital bills. And then I believe that he and the effort he makes in his family can meet his other responsibilities. Now that does not seem such an extraordinary piece of legislation 25 years after Franklin Roosevelt passed the Social Security Act. Nobody in this hall is asking for it for nothing. They are willing to contribute during their working years. That is the important principle which has been lost sight of. We are behind every country pretty nearly in Europe in this matter of medical care for our citizens. We are concerned with the progress of this country. This bill serves the public interest. It involves the government because it involves the public welfare. The Constitution of the United States did not make the President or the Congress powerless. It gave them definite responsibilities to advance the general welfare, and that is what we're attempting to do.
Social Security has nothing to do with the deficit. Social Security is totally funded by the payroll tax levied on employer and employee. If you reduce the outgo of Social Security, that money would not go into the general fund to reduce a deficit. It would go into the Social Security Trust Fund. So Social Security has nothing to do with balancing a budget or erasing or lowering the deficit.
Social Security didn't create the deficit. But America's seniors are being presented with a fake Social Security crisis to try to trick them into accepting reduced benefits. If seniors accept cuts in Social Security benefits today, a surplus cash flow will build in a Social Security trust fund. According to CRS, quote, Social Security's cash surpluses are borrowed by the U.S. Treasury and can be used for tax cuts, spending, or repaying debt. So here's what's going on. Social Security benefit cuts or increase in taxes paid to Social Security or extending the retirement age will give government more money for tax cuts, spending, or repaying the debt, except for one thing. Social Security money belongs to those who have paid the fund. It's not the government's money to use it. It shouldn't be the government's money to play with. Senior citizens should not have to accept a reduced standard of living to finance tax cuts for the rich. We must take a stand for senior citizens and protect Social Security and protect future generations from this raid on Social Security's funds.
When you look on your paycheck, you'll see that little section called FICA. Those are payroll tax deductions that go into the Social Security Trust Fund. So what happens is that the federal government takes all revenue coming in from the FICA tax system and borrows it to run the federal government and puts IOUs, Treasury notes in place.
A problem 30 years from now, which can incidentally be fixed with a little bit of tampering here and there, as was done in 1983. To worry about that just makes absolutely no sense unless you're trying to destroy the program. The effort to try to present the Social Security program as if it's a major problem, that's just a hidden way of trying to undermine and destroy it. If the financial institutions, the insurance companies, can get their hands on this huge financial resource, for example, if it's privatized in some way or vouchers, that's a huge bonanza. They'll have trillions of dollars to play with, the banks, the investment firms, and so on.
The other thing that's really scary is everybody that gets Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security, you know, they think, and we're all living longer and longer and longer, thank you, but the bottom line is they think that it's mine, you owe it to me.